Hey friend, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the debt cycle and how to escape it. So many people are caught in the debt cycle because they literally don't know how to get out of it once they're in it. And guess what? It's designed that way to keep you down, okay? So I'm going to teach you all about the debt cycle and the thing you need to do to get out of it, which you may not have thought of before. Before that, if you like money content, personal finance content for women, make sure to like this video and subscribe so that you can come back and watch all my money videos as I post them. I'm going to be posting every Monday, and if you know my content from TikTok or Instagram already, you know how much I love to talk about money, and I love to help you get your financial stuff together once and for all. So make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, let's get into it. So the debt cycle, like I said earlier, it's designed to keep you stuck. They do that on purpose because they are profiting from your debt. All of the interest that you're paying on your credit cards, your loans, etc., is going straight to the bank, and that is how they make so much money. I want you to break free of that. Not only is that going to stop you from letting the banks profit off of you, but also you're going to save money in the process. You're going to be less stressed. You're going to be more eligible to do things like buy a house or raise your credit, etc. But first you have to learn how to get out of that debt cycle before you can end it, right? So, before we talk about how to get out of it, here's how it happens, how you get into the debt cycle to begin with. So maybe you have a spending problem, and if you do, don't shame yourself. That is not going to help you at all, okay? But maybe you spend on your credit cards and you say, I'll pay it back later. This is so common, and it is so dangerous. This is how you accrue so much debt because you're telling yourself, I'll just pay that back later, but later never actually comes, and then it just builds upon itself. Or maybe you impulse purchase things on a credit card thinking it's not that expensive, it's fine, again, I'll pay it back later. This is so dangerous because just like regular impulse spending, when you're spending out of your bank account and you're buying little things here and there throughout the month, maybe you're ordering DoorDash, you are buying things on Amazon, you are making small purchases at the gas station or getting coffee or whatever. When you're putting that on a credit card, you're thinking at the time it's not that big of a deal. But actually, those things end up being hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per month without you realizing it. And if you are in debt or you're stressed about your debt, chances are you're kind of totally ignoring it to begin with. So you're not actively looking at it, which makes this even worse because when you're putting those small purchases and in your mind they're not that big, then when you go and actually do check your balance, you're shocked and you're like, holy crap, I am actually in a lot of debt. And it's because you are just impulse spending on your credit cards. So we don't want to do that. You have no money saved for when unexpected things happen. This is also extremely common, and it goes along with the next point, which is you're using credit cards as an emergency fund. So maybe you're going throughout your month and then boom, you get a flat tire, or you learn you have to replace 2 or more tires on your car, and it's going to be a couple $100s. You don't have the money set aside for that. You weren't prepared for that expense. So you go ahead and put it on a credit card and say, well, that's fine. Like, that's what my credit card's for. I'll just pay it off monthly. But actually, what you're not realizing is the interest rate on that credit card or that loan or whatever it is so freaking high that you're basically not making progress if you're making those minimum payments per month. And you're telling yourself it's okay because you can pay it off in small payments per month, but that interest is eating up any progress that you think you're making on your cards. And if you haven't gone and looked at that lately, you should print out a statement of your cards and look at how much interest they are charging you, because it's a lot. Most credit cards are between 20 and 30 something percent interest, which is crazy. And personal loans are even worse than that. So any progress you think you're making, like I said, you're really not. It's getting eaten up by interest. And that is how it perpetuates. And that is why it is so hard to get out of that cycle, because when unexpected things happen, if you do not have something set aside to cover those emergency expenses, you're going to have to go further into debt to pay for them. And unexpected expenses are just part of life. It's not about when. It's not about if, it's about when, because they will happen. It's a part of life. You can't control that. The best thing you can do is have savings set aside. First things first, before we talk about savings, you need to address the cause of your debt, because even if you do build a savings and you start a debt payoff plan, if you don't address the root cause of why you're in debt in the first place and you get really honest with yourself about why that's happening, it's not going to change. You need to learn about your triggers that are causing you to go into debt. Are you overspending? Do you have a shopping addiction? Are you just not taking it seriously and putting everything on a card and not paying attention to it. Address that, because if you don't change it, this situation is not going to change. It's actually only going to get worse. And you also don't want to get in a situation where you do all this work to save and then pay off debt, and then you go right back into debt because you haven't addressed those root causes. You have to be able to identify them and fix them first, and that will do you a world of good. The bottom line is that you need to have a savings if you want to get out of debt. So many people just go headfirst into their debt payoff plan because they want that debt to go away. They want that money back in their pocket, and that's totally understandable. I made that mistake more than one time of just jumping straight into the debt payoff, but I kept finding myself in this repeating cycle. I would pay off a little bit, but then something would happen and I go more into debt. It's because I didn't have a savings. Let me show you what the debt cycle looks like without savings. So you start paying off your debt and you have really good intentions. You're really excited even about it and saying, okay, I'm finally going to do this. I'm going to pay off my debt. I'm going to become debt free. Then something unexpected happens because, like I said, it's not about if, it's about when. Unexpected things will happen. But because you don't have a savings, you have to put it on a credit card or take out a loan to pay for that thing or whatever the case may be. Then you are going further into debt. So not only are you increasing your debt, you're increasing the amount of interest that you're going to have to pay monthly. You're not just needing to be worried about the minimum payments. You need to be worried about your balance is steadily increasing month over month, even though you're making those minimum payments, because the interest charges are kicking your butt and you might not even know about that. Okay, so now you're further into debt. Maybe you get frustrated. Maybe you get deflated about this and you quit and you say, whatever, I'm just not going to worry about this right now. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you have to worry about it again. And you say, okay, I have to do this again. That's when the cycle repeats itself because you're not taking the time to stop and save first. You are going to just go through this cycle over and over and over again until you stop and create a savings. That is what is going to make a difference for you. We want to get rid of these two steps here where you have to put things on a credit card and increase your debt and then quit and get frustrated. We want to get rid of that. So here's the easier way to do this. You build a savings first, and I'll talk about what that savings looks like in just a minute, but you build a savings first. Then you start paying off your debt aggressively through a debt payoff plan like a snowball or an avalanche plan. Then, boom, something happens, which, like I said, will happen. But this time, you have a savings. So instead of putting it on a credit card, your emergency fund can cover that unexpected expense. You are not adding to your debt. You are not messing up the progress you've already made. You can just cover it with your emergency fund and keep it pushing. You keep paying down that debt and making progress. And on the side, you can continue contributing to your savings to build it back up again. This right here is going to change the game for you when you start doing it. I have seen it over and over again with my clients. The ones who didn't even know you should save first, when they start building that savings, it changes the game. And it's kind of counterintuitive almost, because you think, well, I have to stop and make this savings, so it's going to take me longer to pay off debt. But what you're not realizing is it actually accelerates your debt payoff because you're not going to be adding to your debt anymore. You're going to be able to make extra payments to your debt, get those balances down, make faster progress because of your safety net. This is so, so important. So how much do you need to save first? Save a small amount. It can be anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000, maybe more, whatever you're comfortable with, okay? Because you just need to have something set aside. I had over $10,000 of debt when I was starting my debt payoff. And when I finally figured out that I had to save first, like I finally identified that that was the issue, I saved $1,000. I basically dropped what I was doing with my debt. I continued to pay the minimum payments, but I saved up $1,000, which for me at the time was crazy. I had never in my life saved $1,000. So I decided that's where I'm going to start. That's going to be my first goal. I saved $1,000. Once I did that, I was able to aggressively pay off my debt, and that $1,000 held me through. So it took me 1 year to pay off it was more than $10,000 worth of debt, but it took me a year to pay all of that off. And that $1,000 held me through the entire time. I did have to use it a couple of times for unexpected things, but I was able to build it back up with the use of side hustles and things like that. Now, I have built a free savings goal worksheet to help you plan out your goals and track them, like with a visual tracker that you can color. I'll link it down in the description if you want to grab that. It's completely free. And it has helped a lot of people, and it will help you too to be able to plan those goals out, track them to completion by coloring in a chart. So that's how you can save that first safety net. That first safety net is going to hold you through as you go through your debt payoff plan, and it will help you make faster progress. Here's the priority order of what you need to do. Your safety net is the first priority. Like I said, anywhere from 1 to 3,000, depending on your comfort level. If your debt payoff is going to take a longer period of time, like maybe you have $100,000 or more of debt, maybe you want to build a bigger safety net to begin with, just in case something bigger happens. That is completely up to you. You have to ask yourself that question. What are you comfortable with? You just need something to start. Okay, so that's the first priority. Then you want to get into a debt payoff plan, meaning you build yourself a snowball or an avalanche plan. I do have calculators for that. If you want them, I'll link them down below as well. And then you can go back after your debt is paid off through that payoff plan, go back and build your fully funded emergency fund. Your fully funded emergency fund would be 3 to 6 months worth of your living expenses. That is what you eventually want to have in your emergency fund. That way, if you lose your employment or whatever, you will have money to hold you through. But you don't have to fully build that until later if you want to. Now, you can save up that full amount first before your debt, but most likely you're going to want to just save the safety net, get into the debt so you can start decreasing that interest. Then once your debt is all gone, you have that big chunk of money that you can start throwing fully into savings. Hope that makes sense. So if you're thinking to yourself, I don't have any money to put in savings, I just made a video last week about how to find additional money to work with. It's called Why You're Broke and How to Fix It. So I'll link that on the screen right here so you can click and go watch it. That way you can learn how to find extra money that you already have that you're spending without realizing. You can use that money to save, to build that savings before your debt payoff plan. Once you build that savings, you can start throwing that chunk of money at your debt through your debt payoff plan. I hope that makes sense. It's going to make a world of a difference. So before I end this video, I just want to tell you, you get to decide what happens next, but nobody's going to do it for you. Okay, I can give you the keys, but I can't make you use them. So make sure that you get your head right about your goals and what you're trying to achieve here, and make a promise to yourself that you're actually going to do something about it, because the time is going to pass regardless. So you might as well spend that time making progress instead of just sitting and stressing about it. That way, at the end of the time, you can say you've made progress. And I promise you, this will go such a long way if you actually stop, make the savings first, and then go towards your debt payoff. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or any suggestions for anyone else reading, and I will see you next week. You got this, friend.